and her head just becomes this like hell pyre, and like she rips her face apart and like melts a guy and twists another guy's neck.
Hey,
It's your old buddy Ingrid Bernal here. Hankerin Fernell, that's me. My real name's Brandon, but don't talk about that on YouTube. Hi, Nick.
Hi.
My guest today is Nicholas Hughes. This is one of the early, I would say,
oh yeah,
beta testers, play testers, and demo GMs for the often, well, at least in the last few days, talked about Daggerheart. So I'm like digging it, feeling it. So I wanted Nick to come in and chit chat about, well, I don't know, just the Daggerheart things. To neither of us panicking and running away.
oh god.
You've been in it, in the thick of it, for quite some time.
All
like
through the beta.
A couple years or more.
Yeah.
After all that play, what kept you going with it? Why not be like, okay, guys, that was kind of cool. I will now return to D&D or to whatever other thing. Like, what is there something that kept fueling you with it?
It was, honestly, and it's going to sound a little cheesy, it's the collaboration of it all. Everything in Daggerheart, almost everything in Daggerheart has to do with, it's not just the DM, or GM, sorry, doing this specific thing. You're working with the players at every part. They're part of the narrative. They're building the world. Literally a part of it is ask the players what they think looks here. So it's like, it's not just on the GM to run something. The players are part of that world too. And that's built into, like I know a lot of GMs just kind of do that as well, but it's built into the core mechanic of it to make it a quote unquote narrative first, where you're working with the players to build a story, not just, there's no min-maxing and things like that. You're just telling.
And you feel like that even worked when you got like a batch of 4 randos at like a con, and they come in and you guys like just get to know each other.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're in a canyon. What's that look like? And that feels groovy to you?
Yeah. So I ran 45-minute like quick sessions. And at the beginning of the session, they're all driving a cart. And I would ask, who's driving the cart? Who's in front? Who's driving the cart? And honestly, you ask that question, somebody steps up.
Right.
It's amazing where if you give people the opportunity to step up, they step up. And you're like, okay, you're driving the cart. What's interesting about the trees in this forest?
And we can do that in any game, right?
But it's literally built into, like, they tell you, take those ideas and work them into the game. Use your fear to use what they're saying into environments. So, like, at one point,
they said, to catch their word hooks.
To catch their word hooks and use that in encounters. So, like, at one point, somebody said, the trees almost feel like they're moaning. You can hear, like, the wind sound like moaning, like screams. So, at one point, they're trying to escape, and the forest comes alive because they were fighting in the forest, and the spirits start coming after them, and they have to make.
And you're gonna spend a fear to invoke a word hook that a player put on the board.
Exactly.
I see.
So,
and so that's where it
with
crystallizes.
You're not like, you have these 3 specific ideas you can do because you're tied down to the GM. You can just use a fear to cause the environment to do something. You're not tied down. It's really unique and loose in the way a GM can affect the narrative with the players.
That. And you can kind of do it in any game could do that, but I guess it's a frontline open statement here, which is like, yo, you've got 3 of these things sitting in front of you. Don't let them rot until the next encounter. You need to come up with an excuse to use these GM resources. Yeah. So exploit something that somebody said.
Yeah, it really gives you the tools that you need to be open-ended in how you can affect the narrative. It's not like each enemy has like this specific like token or feature or tool that they can use. There's a general fear tool that just like you can use to affect things. And
there are several that are just listed too.
Yeah,
it's just like use a fear to do an AoE.
Exactly.
Right. So there is one thing that was interesting you said in there too, which is like there's kind of no min-maxing. Yeah. Which is sort of thumbs uppy, but then also sends a shiver of cold fear down my spine.
You can.
But I want to.
Yeah, you can. There's like, surprisingly, there are interactions. Again, running the games, the second a giant guardian realizes that whirlwind attack works better for them because they have a longer reach, it's just like, oh my god, the min-maxing happens.
Right.
But it's such a narrative-focused game that, like, if you don't min-max, you're not going to feel like you're falling behind the min-maxers, but the min-maxers are still going to feel like, I'm doing this cool thing, I min-max this character. But
that's interesting.
In other games where you have that difference in players, the narrative-focused players are going to be falling behind. They're like, why is this guy critting everything?
That's always me.
You don't feel that as much in Daggerheart because of just how, like, experiences work. And like being able to just get those little bits of like bonuses just by role playing.
So you think so? Since something can be evoked by a player, like accidentally psychologically manifesting a word hook, like the moaning trees. Let's just hang out there for a while. So they just said that because it's kind of cool. But then you got a fear in front of you because of the dice system and all that good stuff, and you're like, I'm going to reap that little comment. So do you think with that in play, can Daggerheart ever be kind of tournament-y? Or is it too... Because that would really put it to the test, right? If it really is narratively focused, it would make a poor candidate to kind of like, let's do the same module, you guys, and see who comes out with a cooler result. That would not work very good.
I don't like tabletops in general as a tournament. I think that might be why I like Dagger, because I think it would be terrible in a tournament situation. Oh, Roger the fighter is about to face off against his rival. We're going to let him take the spotlight for a while instead of it's just like, Roger's turn. Now it's Dan's turn, and so Dan's like, I'm going to let Roger fight. Like,
and in all those games that you've played, the zillions of games, really, that never, the boogeyman of that never jumped out at you?
No, I think...
Because I think, obviously, people sort of watching this might be evoking a bit of a boogeyman, right? Like, well, if I can say the trees are moaning... and then that's going to enter the world. I could say other things, and isn't that a slippery slope into chaos and madness? And that's the boogeyman.
I mean, with any tabletop game, it's it's about trust, right? Like, I mean, it comes into it like even with we were just talking about with the initiative thing. It comes with trust. You got to trust that someone's not going to hog the spotlight there, and it's part of the GM's job to make sure, like, okay, yes, you just did 3 things. Let's see what this person's doing in here. It comes to the same thing. So it's like, okay, you said the trees are made of cotton candy. Like, what? Like, why would it do that? Like, if
of doom.
Like, you put the onus of somebody who's trying to be a jerk and be like, oh, they're made out of cotton candy. You go, oh, why? And they're like, I was just joking. Like, if you put the onus on somebody, they typically step up and be like, oh, we're actually telling a story.
Yeah, and I find that with like so many boogeymen that are sort of conjured on the internet culture. Boogeymen or hot takes about a certain thing that never come to pass. They just don't, because people actually kind of get along as a default.
It's I don't want to say scary, but more possible in like a convention situation. But if you're playing games with people in a convention situation, they stepped up for a reason because they are interested. They're not trying to fake
They're not there to like monkey wrench it.
Exactly. They're not like, I'm going to screw up this thing. No, they're spending,
and then run away.
They're like, I have an hour at this con I'm going to spend on this game.
Right.
Like, of course they're going to do it. And then if you're playing at home, like most of the time, you know, if you're in a game, you should trust the other people like that you're playing with, or else what's the point of playing?
Great. So like one of the things, or the main thing that sort of fueled you through this is this like more concretified way to catch these little hooks, right? Which I think any good GM should be doing this, but to put it in more clear terms, I think helps to make sure that it happens.
Yeah, it gives you the tools. Yeah.
So I think one thing, and the next one sort of that's been on my mind is I've read through the book about 3 times. I've kind of got my notes going and made 2 characters. And sort of did some rolls, and you know, just that's what you do when you're trying to learn.
Oh yeah.
I know the book has these sort of campaign stubs at the back, campaign frames, and they're really cool, and they definitely give you like some of the keystone stuff, like even some of the key monsters and stuff. Like I love the big spider where you attack the legs. And stuff, and then all the little dudes pour out of the bottom, like Shadow of Colossus.
Shadow of Colossus meets Western.
Really cool.
Favorite.
But I think, is there, and I would again sort of go back to what you've experienced, is there a setting in Daggerheart? Does it have a thing, or is it, you guys brace yourselves, this is going to be 70 things?
No, it's you build the world. Like, it's not like you're in, not to use D&D, but it's what people are used to.
Please do.
You're in Faerun, right? This is not, Faerun is the default, and we're going to name our spells off of Gimbal Gob, the wizard that everybody knows. I can't name a favorite wizard.
Lemninkainen, Elminster, Bigby.
Bigby, that's what I was trying to think of. Yeah, you know, this is Bigby's hand. Like, no, like there is no like hard and fast. You're gonna make this world, and there's like it. Honestly, the book walks you through how to do that as well in the GM section. It really walks you through of like, don't do everything at once. Like, build it small and work your way out with your player.
Totally, yeah.
Like, let your players help you build that world. Take their connections and, like, use those as story hooks and build it as you go.
And I think, like, when you look at the frames, you do get that kind of funny feeling of, like, you know, Beast Feast is like a side view food thing, and then like when Mercer shows up with his Umbra thing, it's like, and like the music changes.
You get the vibe.
And like, it is an interesting portion of the book where like Matt Mercer sort of like jumps out of the bushes.
Oh yeah, in the GM section, it's just like, by the way.
And the Umbra games like campaign setting is clearly like, you know, like really like ground shaking in a way. And then you kind of get a feeling of like, there's probably going to be like a book there. Like I can feel a book wanting to manifest out of that.
If they were to do I don't think they'll ever do a full setting book, because I think what they'll do, like the Age of Umbra is what, 10 pages. It's
like 10 pages.
That's all they need.
Yeah.
You build the rest on your own, right? What they can do is they can just make more campaign frames, make more, like I think any like expansions are just more frames. More domains. They're already working on a dread domain for
you can do the domains forever.
Yeah, almost. Like domains are forever, and then like classes, all you have to do is take 2 domains and like they already have like the little thing, the maximum, but then you can just go like across and make a domain that way, and just make an entire pentagraph.
Super dope.
Like the way they do it is really, really well done. I know other games have done it, but like I like. With the card facet of it is amazingly well done.
Yep, and I do think cards are, I mean, they've come and gone over the years in different forms, but at least at almost every table that I run, cards are like endlessly useful, so it's really cool to see them pop up.
I'm a sucker for a deck builder.
This
becomes a deck builder.
It just feels sick, and you just
that's what hooked me, was finding out it becomes a deck builder.
Even spell cards, like in D&D, are satisfying, even though all it is the same text just from over here. So in this journey, as you've been Daggerhearting, have you noticed, and you'll have to call them out just a little bit, but have you noticed a sort of a type? Like, is there a type who doesn't come to your game and a type who does? I'm just curious for like psychological reasons.
I mean, I don't think, if there was a type not coming to the game, I probably wouldn't notice. I would say like a lot of the people there are very excited for story. Like the people coming in are like they do have like a lot of the people coming in know the game because they're Critical Role fans and things like that. A lot of the people who are coming in are just like they know the name Critical Role, and we're like, hey, this is my Critical Role, come sit down.
How bad could it be? Let's go do it.
But I would say like we were talking about min-maxers. I saw a lot less min-maxers than I would like who are like, oh, I'm here to build this and this and this, and they like the ideas of a character, right? Like, I want to play this frog warrior because I want to be like Chrono Trigger and like things like that.
Yes.
Like, people were more,
Edward.
People were more like happy and excited about concepts than builds. And I think like the concept people have really just like latched on to Daggerheart big time. And I'm a concept guy.
I mean, that's a cool, that gives credit to some people and to you, honestly, to call out a kind of a conceptual style of person rather than a visual style or a certain age. But none of those things stood out to you as much as the like, I heard this game has some deep story that's moving, and it's a weird thing that we're stuck in a weird vortex here, right? Because there's no real deep setting, and yet you're showing up for the deep story. So it's kind of like, well, where's it coming from? And then that's this sort of fun answer, right?
It's coming from you, and that's the pre-adventures do have like like the ones that we're running have this like, we're in this place called the Sablewood Forest. Like, it's not like this bad. You're in a forest. It has animals that are
fine.
It has things like Strixwolf, which is an owl and a wolf together. Like, they have mixed animals, and that's all you know. And you're trying to drop off this thing to a cool wizard. Like, cool.
So here's a fun one, and it kind of goes back to this kind of trying to see where this fits. Is there a sort of a, well, 2 questions in one. Is there sort of like a gritty, black and whitey, quote unquote old school Daggerheart experience? And by extension, is there like a wipeout? Have you seen like a party kill?
I did do one party kill.
So you can see why I would put those two questions together, right? They kind of live together.
I mean, the party kill was their own fault. They blew up an airship and they didn't make it off. So it was kind of like...
So you're like, everybody's saved because blah, blah, blah.
It was like, I did kind of like an old school, and it does take... It names in the game as well. It does take a little bit of like 4E inspiration where I did like a skill challenge where it's like, okay, everyone's going to go through. Tell me what you're doing to get out of this.
Yeah.
If we have more passes than fails, you get out. If you get more fails than passes, it's not going to work. And they hard failed.
Yeah, it's like One Ring does that. As well.
Exactly. Yeah. It's one of the few things 4E did well. Don't come at me, 4E guys. 4E people, don't come after me.
Yes. But group skill checks.
Yeah, like doing that, and
so it's like fail. Yeah. Everybody starts sweating. Yeah. Another one.
Like the way death works in Daggerheart's really interesting. Is like when you there's no death saves. When you run out of hit points, you either get to just kind of like be out of the scene. You're basically knocked out, but you have like long-term problems. You can try to fight it off where it's just like, oh, I'm going to do this last cool thing, and then I die. Mm-hmm. Or you can just try to be like, you can either be like, I either live or I die and I get to do nothing in between. So it's not like you get to make the choice on how death exists. Right. A lot of people were just like, I didn't do it. Like I killed a few characters, not players. I killed a few characters because every single person, because it was towards the end after a big fight, and they'd be like, oh, I'm going to go out in a blaze of glory. I'm like, cool, let's do it.
Yeah.
So like you get to you get to say like, I'm going to do this cool thing, and you automatically succeed at it.
So is there, success. I mean, obviously I can homebrew anything I want to homebrew. Oh. I can hack it any way I want to hack it. But do you ever see that being a fit? Because it's definitely like a fetish that is omnipresent in our hobby right now.
Yeah.
Is like, it's kind of like, will it turn into cake? It's like, or, can you make it out of cake? Can you make it like into old school?
Yeah.
Can you feel old schooly Daggerheart? Is that like a thing? Does the homebrew go that far?
It's a little loose for old school, I'd say. Like just, again, initiative, like there's no difference, right? It's a little loose.
Or like crawling 10 feet at a time, kind of in the dark.
I don't think that works. It's like how certain game styles don't work for video games anymore. Like it doesn't really work. And not nobody, but a large group of people don't want to play the dungeon delve where it's like I got a 10-foot stick and I'm going to put this to make sure I don't hit a trap. There are still that group, and I think there are probably campaign frames that could be created for that where you do have the trap checking, but I think it's a lot more because there's a lot less rolling in Daggerheart. Unless the roll is important, it's not getting done because that's all the the hope and the fear and everything that's being built off a roll. So if you roll on
not rolling is actually kind of like, let's not introduce another fear
or a hope. Yeah,
GM. Exactly. Right. That's true because in good D&D, especially classic, there's a roll every single turn. Yeah, and there has to be almost otherwise what are you even doing? Yeah, right. So I hadn't thought about that as like not contributing fear to the GM
or hope to yourself. Yeah,
it's not rolling.
Yeah.
Is not unwise. So you can say your line and do something innocuous.
Yep. It's like, and
that's fun.
Yeah. But if you step on a trap, it doesn't necessarily mean because reaction rolls work differently with the hope and fear, things like that. But a dungeon crawl would definitely need its own campaign frame, like at the old school dungeon crawl, but I don't think it's impossible because the game, again, it's incredibly hackable.
Yeah, it's more just like, would it be something that would grip anybody? Right, because there's so many offerings.
Well, I think there's so many other games that do it. I don't want to say better, but differently, and are made to do that. I'm not saying it couldn't. I don't think it would be the best at doing it.
Nice. So, I find this one interesting because I feel like it's a lot of times innovation for reasons I guess that have to do with the capital structure or something. Innovation often comes with a smaller team. So you get an innovative stuff. Hopefully, I would like to think like what I make.
Of course.
Right? So I would like to think pretty innovative things, but I am the tiniest of teams. I'm like 2-3 people. But then you're like, oh man. But this one I feel is amazing because I feel there's a ton of innovation, but they have a extreme team level that has made their production feel sick.
They have I think it's a perfect spot of where their team level, where it's not a huge thing that just there's too many cooks in the kitchen, but it's like large enough that they can work on these things, and yeah, it's like a medium team size, like, and I think it did allow them to kind of push the envelope and collaborate with each other on a lot of like the mechanics and things like that.
So, what was the last thing that gripped you? Well, you mentioned 4E. That gripped you in a way that Daggerheart has gripped you.
So like the last kind of
so we can understand the weirdness of your particular nerd chemistry.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of tabletop stuff. I was really hooked on Dragonbane for a long time. I loved Dragonbane. It's a lot like it's more D&D than this is, but I was really into Dragonbane for a long time, and Dragonbane really works solo, which is nice because I can just play Dragonbane whenever I want.
Yeah. I love monsters that run themselves.
Yeah,
I'm a huge fan.
So that was always fun, but I think I mean, I'm still D&D is always out there for what it whatever it is.
It's pretty much inescapable, honestly.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know, it's like cheap beer at a house party. It's just gonna be there.
Well, I think D&D will always be the first stepping stone for people, and I love that for it. And then as people get into games, they're like, what else is there? Like, Daggerheart's here for that.
Do you still think we're still in that universe of like D&D is what you discover first?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
and the marketing's there for it. It's never not going to be that. When you think tabletop, like it's almost like it's synonymous with tabletop, basically.
Yeah, and in the shop world of like foot traffic, like people almost only exclusively know what D&D is. Yeah. So I love D&D. We play it every single week, but I would still love to see that dam get cracked a little bit. Yeah. And this isn't like anathema to D&D. It isn't like totally different. It's just a different milieu a little bit.
It's a different style of game with the same flavor, despite campaign frames, but like it has that high fantasy, like heroic feel to it, but it's its own monster.
Okay, last thing. Still going with the like sort of internet counterpoint. That seems to be what I'm fixated on. I have no idea why. So I feel like there's a weird like flow of counterculture that's like attacking like this sort of Sparkle Pony vibe, right? So when new D&D came out, I was like, wow, this is great. And then the first thing that happened is like I'm seeing like negativity online of like there are like happy characters in this book. This is absolutely unacceptable. So when you're looking through Daggerheart, it's not quite as cheerful as like the new player's handbook. But I would say it's not quite as dark as the new D&D Monster Manual. Yeah. It's kind of a little bit of a blend there.
It's got some color to it, yeah.
But I feel like there's like, why is there this happy little dude and, oh, it's so dumb there's a campaign with a restaurant. And bleh. So where do you exist on that sort of flow? Like you've played all these games. Do the people playing Daggerheart like Sparkle Pony things? Or is it a myth? Do they play with their own spectrum of grittiness, regardless of what this may look like? Yeah. Is that even a thing that comes up? Like, is it real or is it just internet vapor? Yeah. Where are you on that?
I mean, I think the term Sparkle Pony is a little unfair. It's weird, right? And there's different ways to do weird. And I think weird culture is really working. It works in storytelling really well right now because the world is really weird. I think every like good like storytelling thing lately has like leaned into the weird. And yes, a random restaurant in a campaign frame involved with how you cook monsters is awesome. Like it leans into the weird. It's taking that next step in storytelling instead of just, oh, I kill the thing and I take its food. It's that next step of why, what, who. Yeah. And I think when you lean into the weird, it makes it easier to ask those questions and makes those answers so much more fun. If people's style of game is they just want it to be, what's been done before, if I kill the monster, I eat it, and we're done. Like, it's been done. We wanted, like...
Or you get 5 coins and kind of go back to town.
Like, that's been done for years. We've done it. It was great when it happened. Keep playing that if you want to do that. This, like, Beast Feast is great. I know we're, like, leaning into the restaurant in the dungeon. I think it's a great idea. It's hilarious because, of course, like, there would become some kind of economy if you're cooking the beasts. Like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, plus any video game player knows. You totally get, like, tentacles and eyeballs and stuff off the monsters, and you cook them, and it...
We've all played Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's part and parcel.
Yeah. I mean,
It's just an easy one to stick to because it kind of jumps out in the book.
yeah.
You know, of being like, oh man, that does sound super
No,
fun.
yeah. I think like the happy monsters concept. I think that's just like art history. Like it's better. Art looks better when the creatures look happy. Like it's just like a psychology thing.
I like the word the weird too is a great way to put it too, because that does reach out to some of the sort of counterculture role-playing hobby, which also say make it weird.
Yeah.
You know, and they say don't just do a guy with a cloak who kills a rat and gets 2 coins. That may be old schoolish,
Yeah.
but it's not weird enough. So make it weird. So that's like common ground, I think,
Yeah.
between like the sort of colorful Daggerheart minded person and the kind of grit black and white, you know, I like it how it was in the early 80s kind of person. Both of them, by your account, and I think just believably, call out to weird as good.
Yeah.
Like weird is cool. So I love that. That's a great way of looking at it, rather than like, oh, it's sparkly and there's a frog puppet. You know, no, it's just kind of some crazy weird stuff. There's also like mushroom people, and there's kind of, not that that's even necessarily weird anymore. Like, what even is weird anymore? I have no
And
idea.
I think that's just like the people like you're saying like with the 80s who like the weird, when they were doing their style of like playing tabletop game, D&D was weird
That
back
was
then.
weird, yeah.
It was, why were you playing this one specific person when you could be playing this whole war game? That was weird. This is just the evolution. Like things are just going to get weird. Things evolve, and I think that's one of the great things about storytelling. Like you read some classic books, yes, they're still classic, but the way storytelling has evolved from those books, because people learn from those and what worked and what didn't, like, is the beauty of it.
Yeah, and maybe there just will be a slow trend toward weirder and weirder, like less Jane Eyre.
Like, yeah, in 20 years from now, every dungeon's going to have a restaurant, and everyone's going to be like, again?
Of course, yeah, totally.
And then someone will be like, yeah, but this one is...
Again?
This one is hibachi style. They'll be like, that's weird.
It's too weird.
Yeah.
Too colorful. Get out of here.
It just gets, the evolution of storytelling has never stopped blowing my mind.
Well, I hope that this, I mean, I'm just sort of at the beginning. I think you're vastly further into the journey than I am.
Yeah,
So I look forward to kind of chasing you down that rabbit hole. But I do see a lot of potential in how this, I think in your opening statement, sort of mechanizes that kind of evolution. Even though I would like to think we do a ton of that in our game right now. I think it's just fun to see like, oh, that does look pretty, that is learning from Dungeon World, and that is learning from like Blades in the Dark, and it's, I mean, John was one of the writers.
I was going to say, the Blades in the Dark inspiration is palpable,
those
and I love
tasty little bits are like, as you mentioned, and I love you mentioned that, like we're learning from these things. They aren't just disappearing. We're all reading them and going, okay, let's kick it
I
up.
like this. I like this. What if they were together?
Yeah. So I look forward to that a lot. Well, Nick, it's been a great pleasure
Of course,
talking to you.
Yep. One more
Been
beer.
absolutely awesome. Oh, yeah, let's finish these.
Thank you for having me.
Delicious. Thanks for watching, you guys. Keep it real. Don't steal. You always get a deal. And thanks to our cameraman back here, Ryan, for doing what I hope to be a great job. But
Shout out to
we'll
Ryan.
see. It's probably awful, but we'll find out later. Anyways, until next time, slogan here. See you guys later.